All right. Okay. Now I'm live. I wasn't before. I didn't actually click the button. I got one person in, it looks like. Does it tell me who? Nope. Oh well. Okay, well, so my plan for today was to work on the laser drill effects. So for context, I guess, so in the game you can drill into these solid walls here. So I fly up to it, I can pull out the laser tool, and it goes and drills into the rock, which kind of mostly works. The problem is, okay, so there's a couple issues with it. One, when you pull out the laser tool, I have it so you move like extra slow. Pull that over on top. Just to make it so that it's a little easier to manage the tool. But once you're actually drilling, using the controls, you can't actually move. So you drill out the preview that it gave you, and that's about it. Oh, hello, Worm King Boo. So, and then the issue is, if you line up with a hole you already dug, it does try and do a raycast, like a swept raycast, to drill that area out again, but it always kind of ends up starting like most of the way in, just because the tolerances are too tight. So I don't really like it. And Rob made this cool sound for it. I can turn the sound up for a second here. It's got this cool sound with a bit of like a wavering sound to it, which sounds a lot cooler than the laser looks right now, because it's just like glowing primitives basically. So I think what I want to do, and so the other issue too for the player is, so yeah, you gotta like drill a little bit and then stop and then move and then drill a little bit and then stop and move. It'd be kind of nice if it was a little more automatic. So like if you just sort of drove forward slowly while doing it. And actually, when I'm in debug mode, or God mode as it were, I just sort of made it so that you can just sort of like fly through the terrain, which I think actually I might want to move to something more like that. So my thought is that I could take, instead of like really short laser beams, so if I can't fire with God mode turned on. So instead of these really short like laser beams, maybe I could do something instead where it's like a laser drill sort of thing, where it's like a drilling head, so it's kind of going out in front of the ship, which I think might look cooler, and then would allow the player to sort of like creep forward as they do it. So like maybe you'd push the button and it would do this digging effect, and you'd kind of like move forward slowly, and you could like turn while you do it. I think that would be a little more satisfying. I think it maybe make more sense with that effect. And then you wouldn't have these like weird short laser beams, which, I don't know, I'm just not super excited about the short laser beams. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yeah. So, I should have put this in the game view. Whoops. Streaming. Who knows how it works? Yeah, so I don't know. That's what it looks like. The lighting effects, I think, work out pretty good. Like the nice soft shadows on everything. But yeah. So if I jump to player code, this is where the laser stuff is. Let's get rid of the sidebar. Yeah, okay, so I think this is the function. I have two, because at some point before I had... Okay, yeah, so that's the drawing function for the laser. I'm going to cut out everything after... Let's see... Foreground sprites, that's drawing the things. Let's try that. Oh, no, that's just the first half of the ship. Okay, let's just do here. This is where it does the laser effects and stuff. Yep, okay. Okay, so it's hidden some of the laser effects, and then in the actual update function, where it actually modifies the terrain and stuff, let's put some debug drawing. I probably already have some in here that's commented out, but actually I don't see it, so. Okay, so this is doing a ray march, it's a laser radius, let's just do effect lasers growing as the mining process looks awesome. Here you're on the limited mobility. Feels like a well-controlled bomb currently. Yeah. Let people around using the lasers lose kind of the cool laser extension. Yeah, I mean that's kind of part of it. And so if I let them turn while using the lasers, like I used to let them do that, and it just really felt really broken, just because of the way that it worked. Because it's really only like one big long like laser beam effectively, even though it draws 4 of them. And I think drawing more or cutting with more of them would be a big mistake too. Because for instance, this is a problem in the game where so like I can draw out this little section here. Oh, I should turn it back on so you can see the effects again. Comment out the return. Okay, so I got this tiny little sliver of rock that's left here, and you can make it real tiny, and that's kind of a problem because you can run into that. So if I added like more like thinner lasers, I think I would just end up with more of these little tiny little blips, which I think are bad. And so I don't want to have like smaller lasers and individual lasers because it would look cool, but I think it would, gameplay-wise, it would just make things worse. So yeah, let's go back to here. Okay, so let's do a segment from here to here with that radius. I don't care what color, white. Oops. Okay, so now I've got the... So this is the actual like ray cast it's doing, and I can show... Actually, no, what I should do is after it does the ray march, do this from... Okay, so that's kind of the actual value it's doing. Ooh, frame rate's getting weird for a second there. Yeah, and so that's kind of why it's sort of broken. Where as it's digging, the actual wide ray cast that it does just gets like stuck, and I can make the radius of it smaller, but that kind of doesn't solve the problem. Oh, Rob's here. So, yeah. So I think instead what I'm going to try to do is have it so when I press the laser button, let's just draw some stuff first. So, let's just start with just one that kind of goes around the front of the ship. So we'll do something like, okay, so we got the player transform. Dig position. Let's just do... Let's transform a point. Watch me fail to type in real time. Alright, just double checking this works. Okay, let's do dig pass. We'll do, I don't know, let's get dig radius. Let's just say 24. that's a bit smaller than what it is before, I think. This one is, well, that one's 24. Let's do 12, make it half as big. Because it'll be like eating away at the dirt. And we can like make it pulsate so it sounds more like the sound sounds, which I think will be cool. Okay, so dig position, dig radius. Let's just make fill. That'll be fine. And we'll color it red. That'll be fine. Okay, so there's our point. Move it out in front. I can do this. I can use my temp value stuff, and I can scoot it out. Oh, that's super slow. Alt. There we go. That's the fast moving one. Something like right there. Pause DV to add. So we'll add this. Now let's do FMA. We're going to need to add a radius into this anyway. So take pause. Oh, my coding assistant sneezed. People on the internet like cats, right? Ugh. This is Tigger. He's the world's oldest cat, I think. Not really. He's 20 though. He'll be 21 in the fall. He's a good kitty. There. Put him on my desk. Okay. So where was I? We need a. Let's do wave complex and sure that, and let's just have it spin at like 2 hertz maybe. That'll be fine. And temp value 1. We'll set the radius with. Should work. Okay. Something like that. And we'll move that out front again. And this one will set the radius. Why is it not moving? Oh, that's weird. This should be making a spinny thing. Let's at least grab these numbers. I think I'm happy with. Ah. I don't know why that doesn't work. Okay, and then 15. It's weird. What is going on? Alright. I don't know why this isn't giving me a spinning value. Let's do... let's log it quick. I'm not like completely crazy here. It's, U64. Nope, Digger wants to. Okay. Go back to your other bed. Okay, so that. Sorry, why? Hmm. It's very strange. Why is that not working? I don't know, I don't care. Okay, this is getting stupid. DV2, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. So, nano divided by 1E9. I'm doing something fundamentally wrong here. Why is this not? This is maybe not what I think it is. Yay for commenting your own code. Update nanos. Ah. Yeah, that isn't what I thought it was. Ugh. That is the length of the update. Whatever, I can get it from... I've never really tried using this in this function. I usually do it from the tick function where I have a lot better time stuff. Okay, whatever. D complex. Let's do state. State update. State dot update nanos. And we'll do it at 2 hertz. There we go. Okay, so 2 hertz is way too fast. Let's do 1 hertz. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, so as you sit there, it'll kind of just go drill, drill, drill. Circle around the player like that. So that is straightforward enough. So then, normally it's only when you're pressing the dig button, so we'll do down here, terrain dig. Let's set this to dig pass and make it radius. Ooh, notification. Okay. Okay, so now it's using the dig pass. What was position before? Okay, let's just set this to dig pass and call it good. Instead of this, we'll use laser radius. Let's just use the existing values. Rid of that. Laser radius and laser radius. Dig pass is... Nope, right, that's line above. Okay, and then so the laser radius, we'll just make that 12 here. And try that. So now if I press the button, yeah, there we go. Kind of does a eats out in front of the player. Okay, so now we just need to make the ship move forward slowly while we do it, which we can do. Okay, Okay, so in the is digging. We'll just do target. Desired velocity. There we go. Direction. Okay, so the player's current transform and push them forward at, I don't know, let's just say 10. We'll try that. Okay, so now let's push the button. Okay, that's way too slow. Let's try 50. Okay, so the player runs into the terrain while it's happening. It's not quite right. Kind of working though. Hey! Josh is following me for once. Although, really, he's always following me. Okay, I kind of like that. That's working. Let's... maybe needs to, like, go faster, though. So that was this value. Let's put that back to 2, see what it feels like. Yeah, that kind of works. Kind of like lets the player creep forward. Don't have steering enabled yet. It kind of just does this nice little swirly thing as they move forward. I think I want to do like 2 of them that are a little bit smaller. They're kind of maybe 180 degrees out of phase or something, so they kind of whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Let's turn on some of the effects again, like when we do the light down here. So let's not draw the laser beams. And the light, let's see, p.x. Okay, we're just gonna keep making this Game Jam quality code for the second here. Didn't pass, unless that's already what it was, actually. I bet it was. Yeah, okay, that already was the position the player was digging at, so that's fine. So now when we do it, we should at least get some lights. There we go. Look at that. Oh, out of power. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. This works. Maybe slow down the player a bit and slow down, so I can slow down that rotation as well. Let's have it. 25. I think put this back to 1. So let's trying that. Yeah, kind of like that. And then draw it like some sort of like plasma sphere or something that's just cutting through the rock instead of a laser drill. And I think if I can, can kind of flash it a bit, I think that'll look really good with the sound effects. Kind of a kind of noise to it. So. Yeah, so I think now I just need let's do 2 of them and make them like counter-rotating. Alright, so I'm going to have to refactor some of this code. Let's stage it so I have something working to go back to. Oh, I suppose I never actually did the full screen, so you can see it better. Yeah, okay, so in the game, it's got kind of this cutting head that's kind of going around and around. I'm just debug drawing it so you can see where it is. And then as you start digging, it kind of cuts into the rock like that. So it's kind of this thing that's going around you. And the idea is, I'm going to make 2 of them. So they each kind of cover like half of the front of the ship. And they're kind of going in opposite directions, out of phase. And a couple reasons why I wanted to do it this way is it makes it easier to let the player dig a tunnel that's wider than they are if we've got these like cutting discs coming out. I think that'll be good. Because one of the problems right now is when the lasers are only slightly wider than the player is, you make these really narrow tunnels that are difficult to thread the power nodes through. So when you're putting down these power nodes like this, like you want to have these nice wide tunnels to do it. Because before, actually, I can just, I suppose I can stash maybe. Who did indeed? Yeah, let's do stash quick. Yeah, so in the old version, when you want to put power nodes through, it's like you dig a tunnel. You kind of move and you dig and you move and you dig, which is fine. But now you've built this tunnel, and so I don't have any power anymore, so I'm losing power. So I need to like thread this power nodes through here, and it's really narrow, which makes it difficult to like place them. So I really wanted an option to like make the tunnels wider in the process. So yeah, let's just pull up another terminal. Change this back. Alright, so now we're back to rotating cutting head thing. Okay. Let's pull this out so we have two of them. We're not going to need laser length. I'm not going to need that anymore. Yeah, well, hopefully if that's your favorite part, hopefully it makes it a little bit better. Alright, well, see you later, Working Kim. Or Worm King. Okay, so let's do. Naming functions when you don't know what they do yet. Foo cutter. There we go. That's a name. Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's kind of like a blessing and a curse too. That like tile-based, digging is really easy to implement, but it's not very satisfying in some ways. So when we have like this really like fine-grained terrain deformation, it's really like satisfying, but it's also kind of problematic in that you can get yourself into like weird shapes and have like these weird, like that little bit that's left right there in front of me. And hopefully this new design minimizes those more and makes them a little easier to deal with for the players, so they can kind of just cut them away more easily. Because it was really kind of tedious to deal with those with the laser before. Okay, so foo cutter. Let's move some stuff into here. So this is where it locks down the player from moving while they're digging. God mode stuff. Alright, so we got the dig position. It's pressed. I think we basically want all of this to move into that function. Okay. So we're going to pass it a transform. Oh, hello, Andre. Person I know from the internet. Leftovers with small enough size and automatically crumble them. Yes, I've kind of thought about it. It's annoyingly difficult to detect them, though. because there's a grid. Maybe show you. If I pull up the map mode, the distance field. You can kind of see on here. Let's make that full screen for you. You can kind of see that there's like this low resolution texture that's defining the distance field for that you're digging through. And so at the grid level, you kind of actually can't easily detect small pieces like that. So you have to you have to sort of vectorize it and find the loops and find the area of them, I think. Like, so I don't really know how to do that easily. It's definitely a not easy problem to solve. Something I've been kind of avoiding. It comes up little enough, I think the players will just be able to like recognize it and deal with it. And then the other half is I want to change the design of the digging tool to try and help minimize the problems with creating them in the first place. So let's jump back to the code. Oh, switch this back to normal rendering mode. Now jump back to the code. Okay, so let's finish refactoring this. Not going to need that. Pass in the player. Okay, don't need that. Let's just get rid of this dig pos. Call it pos. Ugh, just passing all the same parameters. Whatever. Here we go. Solved. Interesting. Okay. Never mind. Unrelated. That should probably be in the outer function, though. We're also going to need two of these dig position variables. Oh, actually, we can just alternate between the two, maybe. That probably makes more sense. Okay, so if they're digging, set their desired velocity, let them creep forward. We need mode audio to play the value. Alright, and then don't need this anymore. These. Alright, so this is the this value. We don't really need that anymore, so let's just get rid of it. Just get rid of that so people can see the code better. Okay. Okay, where do we still have compile errors? Oh, here, gotta pass the parameters. So we'll update player and the transform. Now, is that no? Still, we still have an error. Okay, P0 effing transform. Don't need P0 anymore. Ugh, don't care, I can fix that later. Just debug God mode stuff. Okay, so there we go. And back in the game. Totally works. Okay, so now let's change this to be think what we're going to do is we're going to mirror it. So we'll just, every other frame, we'll call a different one, and I can just switch it back and forth. I think will be the easiest way to do this. So if I take transform this here. Oh, okay, so we're going to use more of my gross debug editing stuff. Value. Okay, so 1, and then the offsets, or the... crap, no, that was the wrong thing. That is the player's velocity. That was fine. I wanted these values. Okay, so I'm going to set this off to the side. Maybe make it a tad smaller. Probably not. I think the size is fine. Yeah, so here, let's do temp value and temp value. Okay, so we got all these parameters we can adjust now in the game. Should get rid of this thing. This little debug window when I hold on Alt, it's kind of annoying. Added it to debug something that problem that no longer exists. Title text timeout. Nope. Where is it? Text. Ugh, whatever. I don't know where that is at the moment. Okay, so let's go back and let's adjust some parameters. So we got, let's just move this out of the way. Good enough. So let's move it about there, and then we'll move it forward, say about there. So that's the center where it'll rotate around. Maybe that's a little bit too... No, that's good, that's good. And then the radius that rotates around is going to be something like that. I think that'll be good. It's enough that it moves back sort of like behind the player. I can turn on the collision radius for it. Yeah, so it moves about back even with the player. Maybe that's going to make a really wide tunnel, but we'll see what happens. It's kind of the right radius that it moves like right around the edge of it, so I think that's good. Let's maybe make the radius a little bit less. Because this will mostly be limited by the player's speed moving forward then, which I think is fine. So 11, 13, and 9. Go back into the code, 11, 13, and 9. Call that good. There we go. Okay, so now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 of these, but I'm going to flip the transform for one of them. So every other frame, we are going to flip between the left and right one because I don't actually. It's probably fine to be like modifying multiple places at once per frame, but I think I'm going to avoid that if possible. So let's alternate these. The lighting will get flickery, but I can fix that separately. Okay, so now it's alternating, but not really. Let's flip the transform. Okay, so we need to multiply 4. To mirror it, we'll do flip the X. Oops, like commas. Okay, so that should give us did I do this backwards? I think I did it backwards. There we go. So now we've got 2 of the drill heads. We should do something to offset their phases. So if I drill with this now... Oh gosh, let's turn off the body debug. That's too much. Yeah, so now we got kind of 2 of them. Kind of makes like an interesting pattern along the edge of the tunnels. I kind of like that. Let's just pass an extra parameter for the phase. So we'll pass in a vector that we can multiply by. Alright, so this is the, call that wave. And we'll rotate that vector by the phase that we pass in. Okay, random notification, checking. Okay. So now, if we go back over here, we can pass in just a unit value. And then here, pass in up by 180 degrees. Oh, do I want them to rotate the same direction? Suppose I don't. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, just as a quick fix to see if I like it, let's do here times phase.x. Oh, shoot, that's in the wrong... Well, okay, so it's in the wrong coordinate space. So when I pointed left or right, that's what I wanted it to do. Let's make this full screen so people can see. Okay. Oh, no, it's running at 120 hertz on my screen, but the stream is 60 hertz, so it's inconsistent whether you can see both of them or not. Yeah, they kind of flicker in and out there sometimes. Well, shoot. But yeah, so there's 2 of them that are kind of spinning around that you can't really see. Which is more or less what I wanted. You can kind of see in the wide tunnel, the player is kind of able to move forward as they go. So it's like significantly wider, so it's easier to put the power nodes down. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, let's just start cleaning some of this up. Alright, instead of just passing in this phase as that, let's just do it as a float. And I can do just use the 1 times phase. Alright, so we'll calculate the wave value and then we'll rotate it by the phase. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And then down here, instead of just passing in these like full phase vectors, we'll just do 1 and 0, or 1 and -1. Done. Okay, so that still works. So now I just got to fix the coordinate space issue. Also, I should just let's just go like this. Is it a problem to do both of them in the same frame? All right, so now people can actually see both of the cutting heads there. Yeah, and so you can kind of see, like, when I'm pointing to the side, that was the effect I wanted, where they're 180 degrees out of phase and they're rotating, and so you'd have like these plasma, like flickering plasma orbs that are like eroding away at the rock. But when you point upwards, it's not what I intended, because wrong coordinate space. I need to rotate the waves by the player's transform. So let's switch back to the code view. Just looking at that, where did it go? Okay, here. So the wave, before I add it in, I need to modify the direction using the transform wave. I think that will fix it. Dang it. I need to undo that. There we go. Oh, a little weird that it rotating affects them, I guess, but that's strange. I'm not sure if that's like a problem exactly. So it looks correct in all the orientations, but as you rotate, like it applies the rotation to the rotation of the waving armatures as well, which whatever. I think I've done enough math for now. No need to do like matrix math on stream. But yeah, I kind of like that. That works okay. Oh gosh. Debug mode with the physics gets a little crazy when you spawn that many particles. Yeah, that's okay. I think I like that. Do I run unit tests for Veridian Expanse? Yes, a handful of them every time the game starts up, actually. So if I switch back to the code and that's not the run log. Uh-oh. Why am I allocating new? Whatever. Unit tests successful. Totally run unit tests. Not very many of them. It's just kind of like some of like the base stuff, like the entity stuff. So like my entity set stuff. It's about half tests for it. So there you go. And I've got like probably similar for components. Like my component code, it starts tests around line 140, and then there's another. It's just a little under half tests for the components as well. So I have some. I know a lot. All the gameplay stuff, there's no tests for any of that. So it's just kind of like the base logic that's easy to test, I guess. If that seems random, what's working right now for Dice Tower? So it's top of mind. Oh, so how do you do unit testing with Godot stuff? Are you trying to like unit test the actual like gameplay? Yeah, and so Andre, the scene switching. Yeah, I played around with this a couple days ago. If I'm gonna do streaming, I'm supposed to like show the code and then show the game separately. So like I set up the two scenes so I could switch between the two. Gosh, I feel like already I've been like consistently forgetting to switch them as I go, but we'll see. Maybe it's better than just always having the code up or always having the game. I like as it is on like my workspace. I've got my monitor over here is like my code and all my stuff like that on it, and then I got a smaller monitor that just has the game dedicated on it. So like I can be in here editing the code, typing whatever into the code. And then, so as soon as I pick up the game controller, I just push the logo button, and the game pauses for a fraction of a second, and it loads in all the changes, which is super nice. And then I have both of them open all the time. So I just sort of like switch from keyboard to mouse, or not keyboard to mouse, keyboard to gamepad, and that's how I switch modes in my brain too, which works really well for me. different beast from normal web apps, which is different from what I'm used to testing. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't written like really truly testable code in a long time. Like the last thing I really had to write tests for was some math software for directional drilling machines, which is oddly appropriate to working on drilling mechanics for Veridian Expanse. But like those machines where they have like the pipes, they sort of like feed into the ground and they kind of drill, and they can steer the drill head around underground. So when they installing like conduits and pipes and stuff, that's kind of what it's used for. And yeah, so I had to write some math library stuff for those, and the idea. Oh, I'm kind of going a little too loud on my mic here. So I was writing some math routines for those, and we needed to have like a bunch of tests to make sure it was actually correct and accurate to a certain number of digits and stuff like that. Because you can brute force a lot of the calculations they want to do, but it's way too slow. So that's how I got involved, is because the VP of engineering of the Vermeer knew me from the past, and so he had known that I knew how to do like physics, real-time physicsy stuff. So he thought maybe I would know how to do it. And what I ended up doing was something that's kind of like conservative advancement for like raycasting, which was kind of interesting, kind of a neat crossover. Snapshot testing, which is super brittle, but you take a screenshot of somewhere in the game and compare images. Interesting. Like pixel for pixel comparisons, or like are you like viewing them as a human and going, that's good? Huh. Okay, so I've got my digging going on here. Let's just call this plasma cutter. Now we have a real name for it. Drilling to game dev. Now, laser drills in a game. It does seem fine to just run these both at the same time. Let's not overwrite that original variable for reasons. Immutable variables, people. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm liking this. Let's get rid of these debug circles. Kinda in the way. So I'm gonna jump back out. Oops. Yeah, reload. Kind of tune up all the terrain here. Yeah, okay. That's working well. Semantic snapshots. If you have consistent data models, set up a picture, store the structure and integrity of the object state. Yeah, I've kind of wondered if I should do something like that with my game, where like as I'm running it, like just because the saving's pretty quick, so like actually, if I go quit and save, I can load and then resave. So it happens milliseconds, really. I keep wondering if I should just be like in development mode, just like save every 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. Just so maybe that's not even like high enough resolution, but just like save regularly so that like when bugs happen, you're close to the point where it happens, so you could reproduce it maybe. I don't know. I mean, it would use like megabytes and megabytes of save files, but who cares, right? Especially if it's like a debug only feature. Game and business logic. Renders. Yeah, I mean that's usually how I treat stuff. Like I'm very careful with like how the game's data works, but like rendering, like as long as it looks vaguely okay, like it doesn't really matter. Okay, I should pull out this digging stuff. The input handling outside of this function. Pull that up there. Okay. Oh, that was the other reason why I wanted to alternate between the two. So I had separate lights. Okay, so the dig position, I think I'm really just using for the glow effect. I could just store 2 of those, I guess. Would be completely reasonable. Ugh. Giant text makes my extremely long lines hard to read. Let's compare save files. That's interesting. Alright, let's just make some temporary globals for now. Vector 2 for the dig pos 2. Let's have this return the dig positions. I can store both of them. So let's return pos. So writing it here. Also, I guess if there's 8 people watching, if you have any questions about like something in the game, how it works, let me know. Always up for gabbing instead of working. Okay, so I removed all the dig pos references in here. It returns it. Debug mode code. Goodness, ridiculously long line. Okay, so it's really just here. P0. That's let's just cut those. I don't think I use P0 anymore at all, because that was where the laser began from, and then P1 was where it ended. So, if they're digging... Yeah, okay. So here, we're drawing the foreground sprite for the laser dot. So it's just like a glow that shows up around where it's actually digging, and then the light for it. So let's just do this twice, I guess. Pull this out of a function or something, but nope. There we go. Okay, so temp dig pos 0. Is that okay? That works. And I should edit it first. So there we go. Now, these. Blam. Okay. So now, I should be able to draw both lights. Why is that not working? That's. Oh, because I didn't need to. Oops. Didn't assign them anywhere. That's why. Okay, so now I've actually assigned them. There we go. So now when I dig into the rock, I got like the 2 lights going that are... Boy, is that maybe too bright? I'll pull this up full screen. What do you guys think? Is this too bright for the laser effect? Or is that good? I think I kind of like it. I mean, it's twice as bright as it was before, but you got like both of the cutting heads going now. Kind of interesting the way it waves around. Okay, so the next thing is I should make the lasers bigger. Laser radius divided by 4. No, let's just do like laser radius maybe? Might be okay. Still seems very... let's turn on the debugging for light radiuses. Somewhere up here. Draw debug lights. There we go. Okay, so there's the radius of them are correctish. I mean, I guess it looks correct. Sorry, I haven't dug out all the terrain. Ugh. Physics. Ugh. Trying to run with sanitizers and stuff gets really slow when there's too many physics objects. Let's see. Something brittle. Makes sense. Harsh. It's a little bit harsh on the player sprite. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I can turn down the brightness of it too. Alright, so let's turn the debug lights back off. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Make these ridiculously long lines even longer. Okay, so let's pull some of these variables out. For light color. Okay, looks perfect for the brightness, enough to make it feel powerful, but doesn't obscure everything else too much. Definitely need a 4th monitor running if I decide my own streaming. 3 monitor setup as research, game editor, and code editor. You know, I used to have 3 monitors because I had a 5K iMac, which was like the best screen I've ever owned, and I'll probably never own another one again like it because they're just too expensive. And then like monitor on either side, so I could do like communications, code, and then the thing that I was working on. But man, now that I have like a 4K monitor, and I'm like fairly opposed to like using UI scaling on stuff because it just every system is sort of broken in different ways, except for Apple's like 2x scaling, and that's it. Like that's kind of all that's really ever worked for me. So like 1x scaling on a 4K monitor, I can just put tons of stuff on here, which I'm relatively happy with. Laptop docking station, yeah. Does the rock drilling is actually a texture and the circles are an eraser pencil being blitted? Yeah, okay, so I think I know what you mean. So if I pull up, I can draw the map, the sign distance field for it. So this is sort of a more raw view of what it looks like. Colors I picked here are not the best, but it's a debug view that I rarely ever use. So you can see the dark areas are where yeah, use the mouse. I'm trying to point at my screen. That's how it's going to work. So like these dark areas here, they're the farthest into the terrain, and then like it's really hard to tell, but like there's a light gradient that goes out to about here, and then it's like fully brown, tan. Like so that's sort of the distance, and at 0 I draw like the contour of it. So that's not a line being drawn. That's just like an anti-alias contour being drawn in the distance field texture. And so what I do when I'm editing these is I've got I'm cutting out parts of that sign distance field, and then I run a correction step on it to because you can sort of just do like a minimum of the existing distance field with, you know, just like a radial gradient, and if you take the minimum of those two, it'll cut into the rock, but it doesn't make the distance field quite correct for other reasons. So I'm also using the distance field to draw the like contour. So if you see there's a little bit of, pointing at the screen again, there's a little bit of parallax as I move back and forth like through this area. And so I'm using the distance field to like draw that parallax effect. And if you don't have a correct distance field, it gets really goofy looking. And you can kind of see like where the with the low resolution, like already when you're digging tunnels like straight along the grid axes, you can kind of see there's those artifacts in the shading. So it makes that much worse if you don't correct the distance field. Eric rocking 4 screens. All right. I mean, I sort of consider I got a little portable monitor now that I could be setting that up to do something, especially if I'm streaming. Like it might be useful, but I don't know. I think that's too many monitors. There's just too many places to look. I've already got, yeah, like fairly large monitors. So okay, I should stop playing with the game and keep working. Okay, so back to normal mode. I don't need the inspector. Okay. I'm gonna reload this so I have more terrain to play with again. Okay. Let's choose import a monitor for stuff like this. Yeah, that makes sense. Beta radiation. I don't think they're nuclear lasers or particle accelerators, you know, making high energy electrons. So probably good. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to change. Okay, so I was pulling out these variables. GA glow color, I guess. Oh, that one. There we go. Make these lines slightly less ridiculously long. Color and light color. There we go. Just throw in a different function, but whatever. Okay, so let's take. All right, let's throw that into a temporary color. Oh, hey, Daniel. Ultra-wide monitors and happy middle ground. Second monitor in 16:9. Things like documentation, but rarely use it. Yeah, I can see why people would like the ultra-wide monitors. I guess I like having separate monitors so you can actually like full screen things, because the game view here, it's like that's just full screen on my one monitor. So I kind of like that. But I can see how like I guess you already have one of those external monitors separate, but. Yeah, I guess you could see how like the ultra wide would work for like having like your editor and documentation, all that sort of stuff, sort of like side by side. Does this support hard lighting? I wonder what the lasers look like with a very sharp shadow. Yeah, I mean technically, I just turn the radius down to 0, and that would be. Just pull this out to value 2. As long as I'm refactoring things. Radius equals that. Okay, so if I multiply that by 0, oops. Yeah, so. Uh-oh, broke something. Oh, shoot. I was in the middle of doing the temporary color thing. Oops, okay. Yeah, there we go. So, hard shadows. That's supposed to draw a hard shadow. That might be a bug. How embarrassing. Bugs, like, live. But yeah, I mean, I can just, like, reduce the radius, and, like you can tell it kind of looks, like, a little bit pixely. I don't know. Because we got, like, the 2 laser cutting heads moving around. Kind of like leaning in. I could turn up the resolution of the light field, but it's... I don't know, it's... kind of just makes it even sharper. Like, I don't know. Not sure if I like that. So. Oops. Just, there we go. Yeah. So versus that with the soft shadows, I think that looks better anyway. Ultra wide for testing. Tried it for dome, but it didn't work. Those two regular ones. Yeah, that seems like it'd be handy. I have a friend who recently just got an ultra wide for the work that she does, and that's what she wanted, is like split it into two, just because it's easier to manage, like, you know, the windows when you have some separation for them. Dancing shadows look neat, but yeah, soft looks nicer. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's fiddle with this color. Temp color. Okay, so now set it to nothing. Let's just fly up here, start shooting, can halt it. And let's play with the color. This should work while it's paused. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so crank the, oops. Ugh, stupid pop-up window. I gotta figure out where that is in the code and get rid of it. I was fixing something on the UI, so I had it so when you hold down Alt, it would show these like timeout windows with show some like debug values for the UI. And I don't remember where that code is, and I tried searching for timeout, and that didn't show up. So okay, but yeah, so when I hold Alt, it lets me change the value faster here for the color. So something like that. Change the hue. Oh gosh, so part of it's the color that it is. So we go kind of a ooh, actually a little bit of purple, and it looks pretty good. Probably don't want to change the softness. That just kind of makes it blown out even more. Okay, yeah, so if I reduce intensity a bit. Play with the hue a little bit more. You know, I think I kind of like solid red. Good old 450 nanometers? Boy, it's not something I really know off the top of my head. Alright, let's try that. So let's copy out that value, paste that in. So I load. Oh, gotta restart some of the game. Yeah, let's do a side-by-side comparison. DV4, paste that in. Okay. Okay, so this is the new color. It's a little more yellow to it. And the old one was like this. This is the original, kind of more reddish, whitish. I suppose I should be testing this in more than one biome. So let's go to the very white biome. See what that looks like. Ugh, guess I didn't play very far into this biome on this save. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the original. And this is the new one. Oh, I think I like that. Yeah. That yellow is pretty good. Kind of washes out the player sprite a lot. It's maybe okay. I don't really do any like tone mapping or anything in this game. Tried playing around with it, it never quite looked right. Does look pretty nice. Yeah, I gotta go with that new color. It's a little bit, it's not as bright, but it's got a little more color to it. For some deep thinking. It was fun. Try to hop on later. Alright, well, see you later, Josh. Oh, I suppose I haven't been using my scenes to jump to the code. Alright, so I think I'm liking this. I think I just need to make it so that you can... Right now I don't have it so you can steer. It just moves you forward at a set rate. I should make it so they can steer. Otherwise, I should just do some code cleanup, I suppose. So I've made a giant mess of everything now. Temporary global variables. Just try making it a little bit smaller too, see if that looks like. That's kind of fun. Oh, I should turn down the amount of spalling it spawns too. That's right here. Spawn spall. What is this last parameter for? Oh, that's goofy. Huh. So I can just double that. Just be less spalling. Still a bit much. You do that backwards. Yep. Out of memory. That was 4 before. Okay, so what is this doing? It's divide by DTD, divide by a thing. Boy, my mental arithmetic is failing me here. We have like 60 or 120th of a second on it currently, so divided by 0.004. That's like 2 per frame. If I do divide by a bigger number, it makes the number smaller. That's strange. Should be like on a timer anyway, so it spawns at a very specific rate. That's kind of goofy. Let's just set it to 1 for now. There, reasonable, but changes based on the frame rate, so I'll have to fix that. Okay. Plasma cutter, taking wave. Okay, don't need the debug circle anymore. Digging, desired velocity. Oh, this shouldn't be in here. Nor should the audio. Let's do. Down here, if this should be down here. I was already checking for that. Okay, so don't need to do this. That was just locking them in place before. Okay, so I was locking them in place before, so now I have the desired velocity to push them forward slowly. And I should call base look to let them turn. I might need to like limit their rotation speed somehow. So now as it creeps forward, I can turn, which is fine, I guess. I don't really need to like limit their turning speed. Yeah, I think it'd only make it worse if I limited their speed. It's fine. Okay, well, in that case, I can just move base look outside. Also, this is weird. Why? I don't really need that code there either. That's what's pulling in the nacelles. So as you, oops. Yeah. Okay. So this was forcing the nacelles to pull in all the way like quickly, but it already does that anyway. When you switch into that mode, it pulls the engine nacelles in. That doesn't need to be there. That was done twice. Oops. Okay, that's a bit simpler. So we update the plasma cutter, we store the digging positions. Gosh. All this code for drawing all these laser doodads. I'm going to change this all anyway, so let's just comment this all out, I think. All of these. There. Okay, so it's not drawing the laser doodads on front, but we're going to change those anyway. So now, drawing some rock eating. Ooh, okay. The next thing I should do is make the light pulse a little bit, because that's the sound kind of makes a whoop 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 noise. I should make the light do that too. Let's do float pulse equals. Gosh, how do I do this? Let's do 1 plus d wave complex. Draw update nanos, hertz. Let's do like 10 hertz, maybe. Dot x. We only need one of the values. We don't need the full complex thing, and we'll make it pulse, so like 0.1%. So now we can multiply these. D4 mul vector by pulse. Like. Yeah, there we go. I don't know how this will show up on the stream, but kind of a little bit of a pulse to it as it goes. Kind of looks all right. Yeah, I think that's good. I should probably have some options in my game to reduce flickering and stuff, because that's going to be a problem for some people and annoy others. Ugh, that's too much. Let's try lower. Yeah, that's alright. A little bit slower. Maybe a little bit deeper. Yeah, okay, I think I like that. And then just apply the pulse to this one too. DV4 DRGB fade pulse. Actually, man, do I really need these glow sprites anymore? I'm not sure. Convinced they really add a lot. Because I already got the glow from the light in there. Yeah, I'm just going to remove those. I don't think I need those anymore. Need a little bit less pulse depth. Split difference. Okay. Oh, I suppose I haven't been switching to the code view. Okay, so we add a little bit of a pulse to it. Move that down. Got a bunch of commented out code now. This is kind of mostly cleaned up. Oh, the ship gun sounds are nice. Yeah. If Rob's still in the stream, his ears might be burning. Yeah, I kind of went some a number of iterations. Had some like fairly like epic ones before, but this is also sort of like the starting weapon in the game. I suppose I have the faster version of the cannon too. Turn that off. Do one on the autocannon. Yeah, so like the original gun you have is just this. So kind of a bit of a pea shooter. And if you eventually get the really fast one, kind of sounds more like that. Which, yeah, and I sort of just like pitch bent the existing sounds he gave me. I think it's good for now. Maybe he'll come up with new sounds for him, but I think they sound pretty good now. Kind of appropriate because we can still reuse the more epic like gun sound for like later weapons in the game. Which, man, I still kind of have them in the game, but I need to really work on them. It's like there's this plasma shotgun thing, which this isn't Rob's sound. This is just a placeholder. And then there's a big old pulse that you can charge up and then fire that, which does a ton of damage. So that's what I have right now. They're kind of a lame selection. I don't know. We sort of talked about that after IGDA a couple weeks ago, but like there's not anything like significantly different about them that you can use strategically on different enemies or anything like that. So okay, I'm not sure if I care about the God mode digging right now. Honestly, it kind of does that now. It does what the old one did anyway, so maybe just comment out the whole thing for now. Leave it in there if I want to fix it later. Gun sound has a weight and a scale that fits for an entire ship and not just a person with a gun, if that makes sense. Yeah, I kind of think so. Okay, what else do I need to do? Oh, I should clean up these globals. Can't hot load the game if you're changing data layouts, which is why I use the globals to begin with. So let's pull up player data object. Oop, I'm gonna switch back to the code. Okay, so the player data object, I have digpass, and we'll make that a vector that holds 2, which, there we go. Oops, incompatible, digpass. Right, okay, so, why do I save this value even? Boy, I'm just gonna leave a to-do here that I really don't need to be saving all of these values. There, then I don't have to make a change to the data format stuff at the moment because getting off task. Okay, so that was the only compile error from that. So now let's get rid of temp digpass. Turn that into player digpass. Let's just extract this onto its own line. Get rid of these ridiculously long lines. People can stop judging me. Laser 0, actually. Here, dig pause, and gotta put that back. Like, yes, something like that. What doesn't like about that? Oh. Still one of the parentheses? No. Laser. Oops. Renamed it. In the middle of changing it. Okay, there we go. So now we'll just do this, push that on there, we'll make another variable, point at the other thing. There, okay. Oops. Okay, so that should work. Relaunch the game. Okay, didn't change the save format, so I didn't need to edit any of that. There we go. Yeah, I think I like this. I can make this work. It works with the sound that Rob made, I think. The flickering, and the... Like if I draw some like plasma orbs that it kind of like moves like that, I feel like that'll all work together. How the player can like steer and like dig out like areas if they want, if they're searching for something, because they're going to be like ores that get hidden in the walls. Oh, made a little tiny little spot there. So there'll be like, for instance, if I go, oh, why is there one not nearby? That was kind of nearby. Oh, not close enough. There we go. It wasn't close enough to the thing. Okay. Autopilot. Oh yeah, it's farther away than I thought. Okay, so like here, this large ore deposit of copper that's right there. It's that copper deposit. There'll also be like base ores. So like this is the Veridium in the game. It's kind of like the base element that everything is built on. It's sort of the iron of this game, if you will. So the idea is that at some point you'll be able to use the signal locator, this tool, and it'll like you'll be able to like tune in on different signals. So let's see if I can find one that's So like there's a signal that's up and left to the left there. Make this full screen so you can see a little better. It's up and to the left, so it kind of tells you where to find stuff. At some point, it'll show you where like a ore deposit like this one is like hidden in a wall, and once you find one, you'll be able to use that locator to find them. So it'll tell you that, like, for instance, like you'll get real close and it'll tell you that's definitely in here. So then the player would be able to like dig around in the wall until they find like a large deposit of that ore, and then they'll be able to attach a big machine to it that mines it constantly. So kind of like level up the player's ability to collect ore at some point, so they don't have to like hand collect everything, or even with the auto grab, mechanic like that, like kind of just leveling it up so that you can like scale up more and more and more and get things that require thousands of ores to build stuff, which I think it'll work out. I don't really have that mechanic like play tested very well yet, but I've sort of implemented the mining, the ore grinder. Okay, so yeah, I think this is good enough to commit at least. So let's do that. So I edited the data. This is all changed. I have to redo the graphics for it. Systems. Yeah, I just left that comment there. Oh, suppose I'm talking about code while I have the full screen game up. Okay, yeah. Okay, don't really have anything to do for the graphics right now. I could try putting in some placeholders, but I don't know how well that would go on stream. Something else I could work on. let's do that. I'm gonna make a item for the autopilot. So right now in the game, switching back, so when you pull up the map screen, as long as you are on connected to the power network at the time, so if I'm connected to the power network, I can go anywhere else and I can push, let's go somewhere close, it doesn't take forever to get there, push A, and it will fly me to there by following the power network to get me to that new node. And right now it's sort of a hidden feature in that people just have to notice that it's there. If they pull up the map and they see over on the left here that it says autopilot A, like it doesn't really tell them what to do, it just kind of mentions it. So it's sort of like a accidentally hidden feature of the game, which I don't really like. So what I want to do is most of the items in the game, you build them at the fabricator. So it's sort of like the crafting bench of this game. If I go back there, using the autopilot. So here's a crash placeholder graphic for a crash ship. So I pull this up, I can, there's other, okay, so I'll just undo one of my existing upgrades. So the stashing, for instance, let's turn that off. Okay, so in the game, one of the early upgrades you get is the ability to pick up, oh, I just went somewhere where there's no ores. Ugh. Let's add some ore. Doesn't matter. Veridian. Okay, so let's just add some of those. Okay, so in the beginning, like you push the shoulder button and then pull towards you, and you pick stuff up. Oops. So you. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm full of it. Yeah, and so some people don't really like that. They find it a little bit tedious to like do over and over and over again. So what I did was offered an upgrade that you get fairly early on in the game that lets you do quick stashing. It's really cheap, costs basically nothing, and then once they have that, they can click the thumbstick instead. So when they pick something up, it's just a one click, to pick up and stash. And so some people kind of like that, and it's also kind of nice when there's like a dense cluster. If I pull this up again and I just make like a bunch of iridium all in one place. So I can go and I can just kind of like click and pick them all up real nice. So that's kind of a nice quality of life upgrade. I kind of want to do the same for the autopilot, partly because that's how you discover all the other features in the game. So if I go, so here, like a lot of these like mechanics of the game, like the laser and the ion collector and the signal locator, all that stuff, the way that you discover them is by crafting them. So I feel like I should do something similar with the autopilot, even if it costs almost nothing like that quick stash does. I think it makes sense just to give it, introduce it to the player using the same mechanic as all of the other mechanics. So only stay for like 5 minutes. Well, I better make it good. Okay, so I'm gonna make a quick upgrade for the autopilot then. That's what I've been talking about, like why I wanted it in there. So let's see if I can do this real quick. Remember how to implement new items. So items that you can craft. Autopilot upgrade is a feature. Yeah, I think it'll make sense. Okay, so I'm gonna need to make a new enumeration for it. Also, I can't really edit these while the game's running. Autopilot. Oh, I'm supposed to be switching back to the code. There we go. So autopilot. I also need to make a scan for it because the scans are how you. Oh, there we go. The scans are how you discover recipes, even if you research them at the fabricator. So I have a big enumeration for all the different types of things, and then I just have like a big table of data that I just fill in. Let's put this next to the quick stashes. Where are they? There we go. Okay, let's just put them here for organizational purposes. Drift item autopilot. Scan, descan, autopilot. dot limits 1 because it's an item that you only need one upgrade for. Similar to the quick stash, we'll just make it really cheap to buy. Maybe we'll so one slight problem. Big list of names for data. It's kind of messy, but it kind of just works. It's very practical. It's extremely hot loading friendly. So that's kind of the other reason. Like you can't change them while the code's running, but because they're not a pointer, like you can just hot load stuff, and then you just have a table that you look them up using the index, which never changes even between versions. Which I guess is another good reason for like saving data. And you've got a list of enumerations that you never modify the order of them or the value of existing items. It makes it much easier to save things than dealing with strings. Like strings have their benefits as well, but I don't know. Six version one, six of one, half dozen of the other. So. All right. Man, I'm gonna make this kind of random. You're gonna need 5 iridium and I don't know, some scrap or something. Let's do 2 scrap. I don't know. Cheap, but not like truly cheap. But yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's the autopilot. Let's do the scan. Okay, so like the scans were like you put like the descriptions of stuff. So that's a bit silly that I have it split up that way, but it made sense when like scanning items in the world that have it separated that way. And then I reused the scans for researching recipes that you can build at the fabricator, which made sense at the time, and it still kind of mostly does. It just seems weird to have to make both entries to be able to create a new item like that. But stash, we'll put it next to the stash again. Just we'll fill in these strings, which at some point too, I need to move these strings to a separate file so they can be localized. Like I've got the, yeah, like this one. So I've got like kind of this Lua template file of like the dialogue in the game, which is a little bit easier to edit because it's sort of kind of more like a simple DSL for like the stuff. It's like the little conversations that come up. I can edit those a little bit more easily. I need to do the same thing for the scans at some point. Oh, and the other reason is those strings are localized, so that I can switch between languages easily. But that's a task for another day. Make ship go burr. To do LEs in. Press button on map. Good enough. Okay, so now we have some strings there. How was the streaming so far? Yeah, I think the stream's been going fine. Made a bunch of mistakes on camera, like you do when you're live coding, I suppose. But I'm happy with the new feature that I developed. Okay, so I got the names for it. Okay, the next thing is I actually need to put it in the list of items, which is sort of just in some random function. Here we go. So pod upgrades, drift item, autopilot. Okay, I think that's enough to make it show up and craftable. I go back into the game and I go back to the fabricator. Okay, let's save that there for reasons. Okay, so if I pull up the fabricator, hey, okay, so I recover the data for the thing, and it's the autopilot. There's the strings I typed in. I guess I can make this bigger so people can see. So I decrypted the data, or recovered the data, and now I can craft it, and it used up the recipes, and now I have the autopilot. I just need to actually hook it up on the map screen, which is in the UI file. Let's go to map. Yeah, so autopilots. So if state inventory dots d item autopilot. Okay, so if they have the autopilot, we will draw the string for the autopilot. Otherwise, we won't. So now, if I look on the map, so I have the autopilot, and it's showing the autopilot prompt on there. Oh, suppose I'm back in the code. Ugh, nope, back to the game. I don't have any code to change at the moment. Okay, so if I remove the autopilot, and then go back to the map, now it doesn't draw, there's no autopilot prompt there. So that works. If I give them the autopilot back, there it is, autopilot. If I push buttons, there. Now it's got the controller glyphs. Okay, so now I just need to remember where I actually put the code for activating the autopilot. It's in this function somewhere. Alright, this is rendering. Okay. That's right. Boy, yeah, this code is very old and very temporary. Okay, so if you press accept or right mouse button, I forgot that you could do it from the mouse. Huh, who knew? Oh, I suppose I'm looking at the code without showing the code. Okay, so this is the code where I check for the inputs. With this lovely, to do temporary next to it. Let's say we're going to make this final. So let's say autopilot. Activate autopilot. Okay, so it searches for the closest power node to you, and then marks that in the flow map stuff as a route. Take some time getting used to doing that live, or at least for me. Alright, well, it looks like Charles is headed out, but so long, Charles. I really should have this have its own input value. Okay, doesn't really matter. We can fix that later. Okay, so part of making this feature usable is if the player isn't next to a node when they trigger it, it can't do the pathfinding because it. Okay, so if I move off of the grid, I'm no longer connected to the power network anymore. So if I'm on the power network and I push, it'll find a way to go. But if I'm not actually close enough to a node to trigger it, it just does nothing, which that's a problem. So I need to make it so it should tell you some information about if the autopilot is available, I guess, and it should show that. And also, like, as you move around, I guess maybe the way that it should show you the autopilot being available is instead of just throwing it over in the corner, like, I guess it should be something that it shows like next to the player and draws a line to the current node that you'd autopilot to, maybe? Because I have had some people that are like, oh, the autopilot stopped working, and I was confused with that as well. We're like, oh, that's weird, it doesn't work. And I'm almost certain now that the reason why it didn't work is because they weren't connected to the power network when they were trying to use it, and they just didn't know it, and I didn't notice, and I never really thought about it. So it definitely needs some visual identification of how it's going to work and when it's going to work. Okay, so I guess the first thing is I can... This up here. Let's just make a Boolean if it's available, I guess. Okay, so I'd be search for the nearest node always. Nodes, power nodes, min dists. Oh no, this is some super temporary code, yeah. Okay, well I need to move at least these variables up and out of this loop. So let's do like that. Been 2 hours. I'll give this another half an hour before I log off, I think. I've got some other stuff to do today that doesn't involve coding, so see if I can finish up this autopilot feature. Okay, so I should make this variable. Should be default initialized. Okay, and then in here, temp waypoint node, I can keep using the gross code for now. I can set it to the one that was found. Okay, so Mindus starts with power. Okay, yep, so that will be correct. Now, when it's drawing the string down here, let's just draw another one to debug the value. Nearest player node .id. So if it exists, I'll just say yes. Otherwise, no. Just to make sure this is working. Okay, so yes and no. Okay, so that works. Okay, so what we're gonna do is in here, if nearest player node .id. So then we'll give them the prompt for the autopilot, which is different based on mouse and keyboard because I don't have a separate named input value for it, but I can fix that later. Should write that down though. Okay, so otherwise we're going to draw a string that says autopilot unavailable, which isn't super descriptive, but hopefully people will figure out that the autopilot becomes unavailable when they are not on the power network. I suppose I can, well, I can make it a 2-line. Let's do that. So, text red. Kind of hard to read. That's weird. Why does he think there's a... I move around. Oh, I think I'm using the wrong value. So as I get the cursor close to this, it tells, yep. Yeah, the code up here. The distance to the cursor position. Ugh. Okay, so that should be the player's position, at least for this. We're gonna need a separate function for this. So return the entity for nearest node to point. And we're gonna steal this for loop. Nearest node to point, whatever. Leave that filled in there. Oop. Okay, so now we're gonna do this in here. Yeah, drift state. UI state. What? Was it not? Oh, game state. Derp. Ugh, naming things is hard. Okay. This is become position. And we need to do dEntity nearest, default initialize, nearest, and return nearest. Yep. Okay. Now we have a function for it, and we can do nearest player node equals that, and we can pass the state and the... Do I have a variable with the player position? I do. Perfect. Okay. I suppose, so this is nearest player node, which that's not actually what we want. We want to do nearest node to point, state, and cursor position. Now we've calculated both values. Which, let's give that a try. Full screen the game again. Okay, so if I hit autopilot, go, that's correct. So now if the player goes off the thing, autopilot available, no matter if I move this around, okay, so that works. I also suppose that I don't have to run this every frame, because the player can't move while they're in the map. So let's just get rid of all this. That was weird. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do something similar here, where I'm going to every frame nearest destination node, because I need that information too. did I call it? Node to nearest node to point. There we go. That's the state and the cursor position. That should update that consistently. Okay, so then let's do this again. Oop, that's not the one I wanted to copy. Let's move that up there. Dest node exists. Let's draw yes. Otherwise, no. Okay, so this was the other. Oh, this was happening switching to the code view. Whatever. Okay, so this is better. So now, when the player is near, when it's off the grid, it says autopilot unavailable. I could draw a second string there to tell them why. When it's available, that's great. And as I move around, it knows if there is a node nearby to the cursor or not. And then I can highlight that cursor, or highlight that node, I suppose. And maybe instead of autopilot, I can have a go here prompt. So let's try that. I might also want to keep the nearest node position. Nope, forgot to switch scenes again. Okay, so nearest dest node. Where would be the best place to draw this? After I draw the POIs. Okay, so after I draw the POIs, let's do okay, so I'm going to push a circle on here, deperimeter. Cursor position. This is not a segment, so they're both going to be set to cursor position. Radii equals, let's do, I don't know, 10 and 9, just to get something on the screen. Oh, and the color. Is red. GBA red. There we go. Do something. Or not. Should be world space. Cursor position is world space. Oh, shoot. It's way too small. It's the problem because everything's zoomed. Yeah, okay, I need to be scaling it. That was why. Okay. Ugh. Forgot about that. Yep. Okay, so 10. It was just underneath the other one. Okay, so that's the thing. Let's put a scope in here. Okay, so let's get the position of the node. So best position equals state nodes dot power nodes dot position. And we need to find the component is going to be. When you have to like do queries for the ECS stuff like outside of a join, it's a little tedious to write. Okay, and then nearest destination node. There, like that. Okay, oh, and I need to actually use its value. There we go. So now it highlights the node you would be going to. Which I think is good. Probably do it in a different color. I'm gonna just do green for now. Let's split this up. Oops. Yeah. Mashing keys. Okay, so now, yeah, it shows you where you'll go. It zips you there. Should throw this in an if for nearest player node. Nearest player node .id and nearest desk node .id. Bother drawing it if they aren't true. So if I move the player off, now it doesn't draw the circles. If I just move it on, oh, I suppose maybe you can't see in the tiny window. Okay, so what I did, in case that wasn't clear, so now the autopilot is highlighting the node that you're going to go to, and I should just draw a prompt next to that with the activation text on it. So that should just be draw text, map draw, and sprites. Don't have world space text. Mild problem. Okay, well, let's figure that out. Okay, so I'm gonna have to convert from world space to screen space so I can draw the text, because the text, I only have the ability to draw world space text on the map, or screen space text on the map. So let's do, oops, this is supposed to be map draw. Okay, the origin, just, I don't know, let's start with a hard-coded value, 200, 200, that'll be fine. Somewhere on screen. And go. It is not visible on screen. Where is it? Alright, see you later, Sam. Thanks for watching. Okay, 15 minutes. I can finish this feature. Oh, the other thing I need to do is, when activating it, I need to check that they have the the item for it. Pull that out of variable, autopilot activate, and state items or inventory dot skiff d item autopilot. Alright, so they have at least one of those. They will be able to activate it. Let's pull this up too. Has autopilot. Put this up here. Nope, and once again, forgot to change screens. Okay, so variable for if they have the autopilot. Similarly, we will not do the drawing of the prompts in the game for it. So has autopilot, can fix that up. And then drawing. Okay, so if has autopilot and there's the nearest items. Okay, so that won't show the autopilot stuff unless you have it. Okay, so I was fixing up the text. Okay, I don't really need to draw this anymore. We're just going to display that information differently, I think. In fact, I don't think I want to draw that normally either. Okay, so we're not going to tell them the autopilot key, and we're just going to draw something near the cursor where they would go to that says go here. That might be a little busy, I guess we'll find out. Okay, so one, why does this text not appear on the screen? Let's just start like in the middle again. Should be fine. No, this isn't working. Okay, should literally be drawing next to. Oh my gosh, there's HUD sprites and. Oh, that's right. The map draws the stuff that I pass the other functions. Oh. So I do have world space sprites. Just confusing myself with variables. How do you name things? Okay, so let's just draw this. Death position. It's gonna be really tiny text. Yeah, there it is. Tiny, tiny text. So we just need to scale that up. Okay, so we need to do the full text drawing function, which takes drawString and the options. Instead of the position, you get to pass full transform matrix for it. That's not quite right, but okay, so matrix equals What else do we need? Symbol, tint. This is vector 4, I think. Yeah. Let's go with white. There we go. So there's our tiny text. And if we zoom and one over zoom, now we should have properly scaled text, which is really hard to read on that background. So we're going to need to put a little card behind it, but we'll fix that second. Okay, so we need to modify the drawing position. So it's offset to the side and centered vertically. Start with dest position. Okay, also go here and press show the controller glyph there. Oops, that didn't work. Oh, I left that line half finished. Okay, so now we got the controller glyph on there. Go here. Make it green. Thematically correct. Slightly easier to read, still needs a card behind it. Okay, so let's do e.y minus equals the text straw size. So the string pull that out. Message and I don't need to message. Okay. Size, .y, okay. Over 2. Oh, I need to have the zoom offset in there. Oh. Okay, I think the easier way to do this is, let's pull this matrix out. Okay, so we're just gonna multiply it by the rescale it separately. Because then I can set the position correctly. Yeah, okay. I can maybe even do an offset there. That would make sense. Okay, so M. These need to be over zoom. I think. No. Order operations. There we go. Let's move it to the side a bit. Okay, unfortunately no. Yeah, that's backwards. So the tricky thing here is, since it's being drawn in world space, we need to rescaling the text based on how far the map is zoomed out. So, yeah, world space text is huge right now and tiny right now in comparison, versus like in-game pixel size is even smaller. So what I'm trying to do is think through how I'm actually transforming this text to draw it the way that I want it. Because when I do this, it's close. I still want to, well, I mean, I can just do p dot x plus equals and move it to the side. But this also needs to be rescaled, I think. Yeah, okay, so that needs to be rescaled. The easy solution is just to divide by zoom. Don't have to think about transforms for this case. There we go. We'll just move it whatever the radius of that circle is. Pull out into a variable. Equals, yeah, 10 seems fine. Radius minus 1. Okay, and then when I offset this to the side, we'll do radius zoom. Ta-da, there we go. Ugh, although the text is too far down. That's goofy. I don't know what's up with that. Okay. Okay, so let's do radius plus a little bit. There we go. That's good. Okay, now I just need to draw a little transparent card behind it so we can see it a little bit better. Oh man, probably not drawing all of these. I'm just gonna guess and check instead of actually looking at what the code does. Okay, I'm not even drawing any of those. So the game has this standard like draw struct where I pack everything into. When I'm drawing the map, I have a different set of things that I wanted to draw, but I wanted to reuse a bunch of the same code. So I just made this separate map draw thing, and then when I actually go to draw things, I just pick the specific arrays of things that I wanted to draw, and there you go. So kind of nonsensical, but boy, this is like couple hundred lines of code to draw the map, and I didn't really want to overcomplicate it any more than I needed to. Oh, hey, Max Williams. Been a long time. Must have seen you from Mastodon or something. Okay. Anyway, back to the thing that I was trying to do. So let's just draw one of these map prims for a card that goes behind the text. So let's start with this. Okay, so we're gonna just start with transparent black, I guess. So I don't know, half transparent black. Okay, and P1, P2, radius, second radius should be 0. Okay, so let's move that behind the text. Oh, this is starting to turn into fiddly code. Why? Okay, let's... I should be doing this after I've calculated its screen space position. I can just use those values. Why am I doing this twice? I'm going to duplicate this just for a second. Y. Okay, so now it's behind the text correctly. This shouldn't be radius, but should be, I don't know, text size based. And so p.x equals, oh, I didn't save the size separately. Text size. Okay, oop. Not like that, text size dot y. Oh man, I usually avoid writing really fiddly component fiddling code like this, but whatever. UI just seems to be like full of all the stuff where you need to like offset things in just one dimension and do this and that, and trying to do it like with actual like vector math just seems like it turns out a disaster as well. Anyway, so text size dot x. I think I gotta scale that. But yeah, something like that. Okay. Maybe what I should do. Let's make this easier to see color for the moment so I can line it up better. Make this fully opaque red. Okay. Do I just hard code it? I'm just gonna hard code it. Avert your eyes, everyone. This is gonna be terrible. A little bit smaller and a little bit further up. Actually, maybe I'll just set the text separately down there. Hey, ta-da, that worked. That was exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, yeah, so that's okay. Let's change this back to black. Yeah, and fiddle with the transparency. Let's make it more opaque this time, maybe? Yeah, that's kind of okay. Yeah, okay. This is turning out all right. So, yeah, okay, so now if I'm not on the power network, doesn't give me the prompts and says autopilot is unavailable. Oh, showing full screen. So if I'm not on the power network, if I move off and I pull up the autopilot or pull up the map, it tells me over here on the left that the autopilot is unavailable. And when I cursor around, it doesn't show me the destinations. And if I click, oh, it still closes it. That's a problem. But it doesn't go there. If I move back onto the power network, now it tells me this little prompt of go here for the autopilot. So then if I click, closes it and goes there. So that's kind of turning out okay. This code is kind of a disaster, but again, UI code seems to turn out that way a lot of times. So. Let's just, I'll use this in the one place. Just do like that. Yeah, that's kind of okay. I should, however, pulse the radius of this one. Let's go like this. Yes equals base radius plus whatever. Base radius is that. And then and this. Let's offset that more. Base radius. Okay. So that's offset off to the side a little bit more now. Oh, I'm not showing the code. Okay, so finally, let's pulse the radius on that a little bit just to make it a little more interesting right here, plus D wave complex. Gosh. Day nanos. 1 hertz will be fine. And then we'll just take the X component of it, and we gotta scale it down by a bit. So let's make it small. I was afraid of that. Oh, where do I have a timing value I can use in this function? Since time in the game is paused, I need to pull time from somewhere else. Oh wait, no, I just need to do the clock nanos. Clock nanos. Oh, yeah, there we go. Working just extremely subtle. Okay. So let's multiply this by like 3 or something. Now when I go back to the game, a little bit much. Maybe a little bit less pulsing. Yeah, that's kind of okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Okay. So then I think the last thing is if you don't have a node highlighted when you press the button, okay, nothing happens. But if the player isn't on the map when I press it, and I press near a node, it still accepts it. That's okay. So when I actually do the input, which was up here somewhere. Yeah, okay, autopilot. Input, mouse down, blah, 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 blah. If a node was selected. Ah, okay, so here. Autopilot activate and has autopilot. And player nearest player node, nearest player node. So if the player is near an ID, or if it's not near one, then don't even bother checking. Yep. Okay. That was all. Yeah. Okay. So this is much improved, I think, over what I had before. I still need to make native values. That's true. Okay, so I made an item for the autopilot. Oh, I should write text for autopilot. Since I left kind of just placeholder strings in for the actual scans and items. So there's the new enumerations, that's the new item, that's the scan value, and then it was mostly the UI work. All right, yeah, see you later, Andre. I think I'm going to be logging off now that I finished this feature. I think, I don't know, I think this was good for a initial stream. I think it went well enough. Hopefully it wasn't too boring watching me write C code badly. Yeah, we'll see you around, I guess. Okay, so let's just commit this. Autopilot UI cleanup. Yeah, all right. So Yeah, you like the hot loading? That is my favorite feature of working in my own code, is that I can just change whatever code that I want. Doesn't matter if it's just like constants or whatever. And honestly, like when you can, when your code is just data that you can reload in like milliseconds, like I kind of just treat it like data. Like there's a lot of, like, oh, everything should be data driven, but like when you can hot load it in milliseconds, man, I kind of just end up being leaning towards putting a lot of like hard coded constants in my code just because it's just data at that point. But yeah, so that is committed, and I got 2 features done today. I will call that a success, and I think I'm gonna log off now. But thanks for showing up, everybody. Data with type checking. Yeah, that's true. All right, and end stream.